It's 12 noon. We're live on City Line. Hi, I'm Jackie Hall.
Hello, I'm B.T. Bentley. They call him a musical wizard, the Prince of Darkness.
And after 40 award-winning years, his music is still delighting audiences worldwide.
He is Miles Davis, the creator of jazz fusion and the hard bop.
After a 12-year absence from the music scene, he's back on top, and he's with us live on City Line.
The problems of Providence Hospital continue. I'm T. Montier, and we'll talk about that.
Hi, I'm Harold Anthony, and today on the entertainment page, I'll feature the new pop sound of the great jazz vocalist, Al Jarreau.
Meet the master and his music.
Grammy award-winning jazz artist Miles Davis, live next on City Line.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us for another edition of City Line, a very special edition. We have a very special guest, and we'd like you to meet him right now. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Miles Davis. Nice to meet you.
Great that you could be here today. Maybe I can get this. Okay, finally.
So comfortable.
Have a seat.
So glad that you could be with us today. Baltimore has missed you for quite some time. It's been more than 10 years since your last appearance here. Is that correct?
Right.
Thank you very much for being here. Could you tell us, is this part of a nationwide tour?
Tell me your names first.
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is B.T. Bentley.
And I'm Jackie Hall.
Okay. All right.
Is Baltimore part of a nationwide tour or
No,
a special appearance?
just the concert at the school.
Are you having any intention of doing a larger tour, or are you really just basically going city by city and making a decision on an individual basis?
Well, that's it. Just one concert.
Okay.
We do about, we'd like to do about 3 a month.
Okay.
Was there anything that made you decide to get back on the tour at this time and somewhat come out of retirement, if that is a proper word to use? Why now? Because your audiences have missed you for years and years and years.
How many years did you say?
Well, a good 10 years.
No, not 10.
In
not
this
10.
era.
I heard that. You made a mistake about 4.
What made you come to Baltimore this time? I mean, aside from the concert, but what entered into the decision? We've missed you.
Money.
Bottom line.
So that's good then.
And, you know, with my love for music, you know, my love for music is more than my hate for the business end of music.
Okay.
So,
You prefer performing to composing, is that true?
no, that's, what kind of question is that? Come on. Yeah. I love to play, you know. I was on a plane coming here, and I thought, it's a nice chord to play a major 7 chord. I could hear it in my head. And I said to myself, I'm so glad I can hear that with my band. So you see, my love for the sounds of composing and, you know, mixing different sounds over ways that sad stuff in the music business end of it.
You're always hearing those sounds. You're always experimenting and trying new things.
Well, it's just like anything else you always hear. It's like your conscience. You know, you can always hear melodies. You can turn them off, and sometimes they wake you up and say, listen, what we have for you here.
How old were you when you first started hearing those melodious sounds and you realized that you wanted to make music your life?
About 6.
How would you describe your beginnings? I believe I recall that once you began going around actually playing in clubs or whatever, you were spent some time with Charlie Parker. Is that correct?
You ever read those 3 books they have out on me?
To be honest,
See? Let me tell you something. I haven't been on the cover as much as I've done for music. I have never been on a black cover magazine.
why do you think that is?
The same reason you didn't read my book.
And what reason is that?
You're not interested.
I'm not sure if that's the case.
No, but I mean, if I'm going to come here, you should always read something so you can ask me a civilized question.
Well, we did read. Unfortunately, we didn't have
All
any
right,
of your
well,
books. to read.
ask me again what you said.
Okay, I was asking you whether or not you spent some time with Charlie Parker in the early years, and what type of influence or experience that was for you. Even if I knew, I think the audience might like to know.
Okay, I got you. I did spend some time with Charlie Parker. But when I was 15, I was playing in nightclubs. So when I graduated from high school, I went to Juilliard. And I had played with Bill Eckstein in St. Louis because the trumpet player had a hemorrhage. And before that, I'd gotten a record with Dizzy and Coleman Hawkins called Wouldn't You? And the style he played and the style I played was similar that I wanted to play. So Charlie Parker was in the band in St. Louis, pardon me, with Bill Eckstein, pardon me. So Juilliard was in New York, so I looked him up.
Okay.
So I used to go down on 52nd Street every night to hear him and Dizzy. So Dizzy, I think Dizzy went to do some concerts with Norman Granz, Jazz at the Philharmonic. And Bird and I lived in the same house. So when I was waiting on him to catch a cab to go home, the owner said, of the club, Bird said, well, I'll bring my band in there. He said, well, you can't find a trumpet player. Who's going to play like Dizzy? So he said, him. And I looked, I said, who? He said, you. Yeah. I was scared to death, scared to death. But I knew everything Dizzy was playing. I'd memorized it.
Okay. Well, let's take a break for a minute. We're going to come back and we're going to look at your latest, or your video for the new album, Decoy. Please stay with us. We'll be back in just a minute.
To the master, Miles Davis, and we'd like for you to join in our conversation by calling us at 481-1313, please, so that you can talk directly to him yourself. Your album, Decoy, are there any original cuts on there or any revisions of old cuts? What kind of music will we hear on Decoy?
Well, all of it's original. We wrote all the music. I can't tell you much about it. Have you heard it? Have you heard a little bit?
I've heard some of the cuts, yes.
That cut you heard there was called 415. It's the San Francisco area code. Pardon me, Robot 415. It's okay. It's just a bridge to the other number that's coming up. And it was C minor blues that I wrote, and it is different. The structure is different of the blues.
Is this music that we hear, that we'll hear on Decoy, an extension of the Miles we used to know, or is this a new direction for you?
It's not a new direction, and it is an extension of me, but it's not like what we used to do because we had so many synthesizers on there. And they weren't using, or they had perfected the synthesizers as much as they have now, then, before I stopped.
We're going to take a look at the video that that we have of your title cut, Decoy, with Miles Davis. Let's look at that now.
That makes a powerful visual statement about your music. The video thing is something I think somewhat new to jazz, and is this your first video, I believe?
It's the first video, but
What prompted you to do it?
because I could, you know, they don't usually make a video of a person if they're not singing.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, when they say jazz musicians, they label you.
That's the label you're not comfortable with, or that you don't feel is true?
Not really. But you can see what's happening when Wynton plays classical music and jazz, the so-called. So I think it's a step. So other musicians like Art Blakey's band, Wynton and Brantford, can make a video without having to open their mouths.
You feel that there is a place for a video with
Oh, yeah.
so-called jazz music?
Oh yeah.
And that it's obvious from that particular video that it is compatible.
So effective.
Let's bring in our studio audience. We have someone at the mic now.
Good afternoon, Mr. Davis.
Yeah.
My name is Andre Brown. It's a great honor for me to meet you, and I'm rather nervous and sort of intimidated because I'm going to ask you this question. I read an interview, I believe it was in a Playboy during the 1960s. I believe Alex Haley interviewed you. And what I want to ask you is performing. You seem to have a great disdain for performance as opposed to going in the studio and working. And you've been greatly criticized for your tendency, don't mean to maybe antagonize you, but tendency to turn your back to the audience when you perform, and critics and some of your fans don't believe that that is right of you, since they love you enough to pay for a ticket and come to see you perform. They feel that at least you should have the courtesy of standing before them and playing. I hope that didn't make you angry.
So what's your question, Andre?
Yeah, why
Why do I turn my back?
back on the audience?
I don't turn my back. It's just that on a stage, there are different sounds on the whole stage. And for trumpet, it picks up better. When you get, this side of a stage might be better for trumpet, and the drums might be better over that way. So I always try to pick the spot where the trumpet where I can hear myself. That's really what's happening.
Thank you very much, and it's indeed an honor to meet you.
Thank you.
And Andre, we're all a little bit nervous up here today.
Okay.
Thank you.
Your, I guess, the nature of your music beyond, I hate to use that jazz label.
It's okay. But you see, you hate to use it because it means black.
No, I hate to use it because I don't think that it's something that your music fits into. Your music.
Let me tell you why I don't like jazz first.
Okay.
The name. I was here in Baltimore years ago, and I mean, it was still kind of prejudice, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is now, but I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I played Morgan State for free, and the union fined me. Okay. If someone says, "Who murdered their woman?" and the police, and she would say, "It was a jazz musician," they would right away put out on for a black man.
Mm-hmm.
See what I mean? Okay. And what we play, I think it's social music that comes from us and the air. You know, all those melodies that you hear. It's the difference between ballet and, say, breakdancing. Breakdancing is from the people. Mm-hmm. Ballet dancing is from white people.
But because things are categorized, whether we like it or not, how then would you categorize the kind of music that you play and have played for years and years? Just to differentiate it from something else, from another kind.
Put your face on the cover, and that says it all.
But what if we hear it? What about when we hear it? We should say, then that's
You don't have to label it.
Don't have to label it.
Just
and
simply
You don't know.
your
enjoy.
sound makes it
Listen,
different.
you don't know whether I took this from Ravel or Stravinsky, you know, or Charlie Parker, you know, or Prince, or a part of Michael Jackson and Quincy's music. But I just don't like it. It makes me feel funny when I hear jazz musician, because right away it drops like that.
And it seems they've had trouble categorizing you. They have credited you
Not
with
me.
creating sounds, the fusion sound, the
I
hard
know.
bop sound.
Trying to explain what I mean. When they say jazz musician, right away your salary goes down, you know. In order to play like I do, you have to go through all stages of music. Classical, you know, a lot of nonsense. And you have to know what you want to do. If you have the technique, you can play. It's easier for us to play with a white orchestra than them to play with us, because it's a certain thing in our music that they don't have,
Okay.
you know?
Well, obviously, it takes a special kind of musician as well, and that's who Miles Davis is, and we will continue our discussion when we come back. Please stay with us. Now here's this week's community calendar.
On Saturday, December the 8th, beginning at noon at the Pikesville Armory, Master Garcia Davis will present a karate tournament and Christmas show featuring some of the finest martial artists on the East Coast executing their skills in competition and demonstration. Proceeds from this martial arts extravaganza will aid many of the city's poor and underprivileged through the St. Ambrose Outreach Center. Donations are $5 for adults and $3 for children. Please help us to help others. Call 255-0870.
If your group or organization would like to announce an event, please write us in care of City Line, WJZ-TV, Television Hill, Baltimore, Maryland, 21211, or call us for further information at 466-0013 between the hours of 9 and 5.
Okay, we're back, and we're going to take a call from home right now. Hi, you're live on City Line.
Yes, hello. I would like to ask Miles, artists like Wynton Marsalis and Chico Freeman have been very critical, particularly of white critics, for their tendency to take jazz music or African-American classical music or whatever you want to call it and try to make it generic music, in essence taking away the contribution of African-Americans to its creation. I'd like to know what his opinion is on that, if any. Secondly, I'd like to know what his opinion is of Wynton Marsalis, and what does he think is necessary to take jazz to another level and make it more attractive to larger groups of people, particularly African Americans, who tend to stray away from it and get into more popular types of music.
Thank you.
That's it.
Tall order.
All you have to do is do like I do. That's all I can say.
Okay.
But so many others can't do what you do.
Then they should study. That's the reason when you say jazz music, a black person thinks that they can just pick up a horn and play. When I was in school, I had to jump on my music history teacher's case. She said black people started playing the blues because they were unhappy and poor. My father was rich, and I could play the blues, you know. So they have to study. Wynton needs to know a little bit about theory more than he does, because they all play cliches, and the critics, I don't know what he's talking about. You know, the critics don't want to move either. You get old critics like Leonard Feather, they don't want to go with synthesizers and these different sounds that you hear when Michael Jackson or Prince, these sounds that Ashford and Simpson, they don't want to go with that either, but I think that Wynton and his brother, Bradford, recorded with me. He wants me to produce his next record. I think that they should get with the new sounds.
Okay. Let's take a question from our studio audience. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Davis. My name is Lester Felton. It's a pleasure to meet you. My question has to deal with the music, the industry that you have influenced over many years. I'd like to know if we have the, I'm kind of nervous also, we have the honor of seeing a motion picture from you in the near future.
A what?
A motion picture from you in the near future.
Oh, a video, you know, but not a motion picture. I'm not like Prince. I'm not that talented that way, you know. I'm basically kind of shy, you know. I don't. But we might do something though. Cicely, I talked to her about it. A little kids thing, you know, like Peter and the Wolf or something like that.
Okay. We're looking forward to it.
Well, we're gonna do it. We're gonna turn it around and make it black.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the question. You know, forgive me for saying this, but I'm surprised that you would mention a Prince and a Michael Jackson. For some reason, I wouldn't have thought that you would put them in the category of that you would even I recognize them. I don't know why.
Because they're really composers, you know. When you sing a song and you have to have an arrangement, when you stop singing, they have to fill in the crack. And some people can fill in cracks more so they can, like you say, Prince will say something, he'll sing, right, a phrase. Underneath is or the music that you hear under him, and after a phrase are short compositions, actually. So some people can come, they have, Prince does everything himself, but Michael has about 3 other composers, like one for brass, one for funky sound to bass and drums, one for different composer for violins. And that's it. If he wants horns, a different composer for horns.
All righty, we're going to take another call. Someone's waiting to talk to you. You're live on City Line.
Yes, hello. Baltimoreans are honored to have Mr. Davis among us. You know, we have a rich musical heritage of our own with Billie Holiday and U.B. Blake. My comment for you, sir, or question rather, is what was your inspiration for your brilliant interpretation of Bitches Brew? And secondly, what would your assessment of T.S. Monk's value for modern music be? Thank you.
Thank you.
What did he say? Inspiration for Bitches Brew?
That's right.
When you do something like Bitches Brew, all of a sudden, when it's time for you to record, you don't feel like doing the same thing. So right away, in your head, you knock out everything in your head that you don't like, and what's left, you do. And I thought it was time to use 3 drummers, 3 piano players, bass, clarinet, all together, where they had been using, three musicians for a rhythm section. I had 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. I had 8. And it sounded very good.
Let's take another question from the audience. Yes, sir.
Throughout the years, you've been known and famous for finding young musicians with a great deal of talent, bringing them into your band, and then they become major musical forces on their own right, such as John Coltrane, Herbie Hancock, just to name 2. Who in particular do you think we should be watching in your current band?
It's not like that anymore. You can't watch one person's whole collective. You have to get musicians that think the same way. Herbie and Chick Corea, all those musicians are, if you might say, geniuses, because they can do anything. You know, so I enjoyed playing with them, and the way I pick them is because I want that I can hear them and myself together. And they don't have to be young musicians, but old musicians are hard to change in their ways. You know how old people are. They don't want to change.
Thank you for the question. Okay, another call from home. Hi, you're on City Line.
Yes, hello. I'd like to ask a short little two-part. Number one is, I guess it comes a point in time where you have to hang the gloves up and everything, and I'd like to ask Miles, does he have any idea of when he's going to hang the gloves up as far as performing live? And the second part is, how does he feel about people who label him as an arrogant, unfeeling type guy when it comes to relating to, like, the media and various other people?
Thank you.
First place, some people think confidence, having confidence in yourself, is arrogant. I don't, because I know what I like, and I love music. I don't care what anybody thinks, and you don't have to. The reason I'm playing music is because I love it. It's like me getting a divorce from my wife. You know, I didn't marry her to get a divorce. I didn't start in music to quit. The longer you live, the more you learn.
In the Essence article that appeared in November, you were quoted as saying that you love music so much that if you felt that you didn't have any more to bring to it, you would give it up. Is that the point at which you would hang it up?
Right.
But you don't see that happening.
Thank you. Let's take a question from the audience.
Yes. Yeah. Morning. My name is Abdul Rashid Yahya, and I have a multiple question. I'd like to know, what do you feel has been the most meaningful period of creative participation on your part as well as your black contemporaries? And
Let's take the one question at a time. Okay. We could get an answer to that question.
From Bitches Brew. And that area was very creative. And now is the most creative that I've been in. Since I've been here, right now is really the time. And now, we're living in the now.
Right. Okay, and I notice a frequent appearance now in black groups of white musicians. Is that an attitudinal change from the old Crow Jim period, and or is it a promotional theory that makes it a more sellable product?
No, white musicians aren't as sad as they used to be. You know, it's easy, like I said, it's easy for we can play with them, but they can't play with us. You have to pick them. You know, if you write something, if you have something you want to hear and another musician can't read, but he has the concept, you mix them together. The white, if he's white or black, you mix them together if it's what you want. And mostly what I want is somebody that plays on time, because I can't stand for the time to change while I'm doing something.
Thank you very much for your question.
Okay.
We got to go to a break now. Thank you.
This is television.
We're going to be right back in just a minute, so please stay with us and Mr. Miles Davis.
Is delighted and honored to have Mr. Miles Davis here today. And contrary to what he feels, at least felt in the beginning, we have read up on you, and we've followed you for years and years and years. And we are aware of your special marriage and relationship with Cicely Tyson.
Which we're not going to talk about.
Except to say, just from an outsider's point of view, it appears that it's a marriage of spirits as well, isn't it?
I don't want to talk about my marriage.
Just yes or no. But it really does, from an outsider's point of view, it really does seem to be.
Okay.
Okay. I love these answers to these questions.
We do want to talk about one thing aside from Miles Davis' music. This is his Decoy album. On the inside are 2 of his original sketches. And I'd like to ask you whether or not, when I first saw these, I felt, after having seen the video, that that it was something that was almost analogous to your music, that it was a visual expression of your music. And I'm not certain that that was fair. But that's the impression I got looking at the art. Does it play a role? Is there any connection between your art and your music?
Some people say so. Cicely thinks so. I like to do it. If you're in one art and you dicker in another one, it makes both of them. You open yourself up to different collages and sounds and drawings, and I find myself looking at a canvas so I can see what I want to put on it. But you have to balance it. You learn by balance. You learn a lot by balance, which is what composers do, or musicians who ad-lib like I do and don't sing. That helps.
Okay, we have a question again from the audience.
Hi, my name is Naima, and as me being a younger jazz musician, I want to know if you could give me any advice, because I play woodwinds and I attend the School for the Arts, and I'm trying to make a decision, well, should I be a classical musician or a jazz musician? But my whole family is into jazz, and to see how much struggling they've went through, and being a jazz musician, could you give me any advice?
Can you play piano?
A little bit.
Well, you have to be a
training.
jazz musician.
I can't be a jazz musician.
A classical musician has to learn how to play piano. You know anything about theory?
Yeah, I'm in theory too. 4-part rhyme, analysis, formal analysis.
What's that?
Well, they give us a score and we, analyze it.
Can you hear it when you look at it?
If somebody plays it.
You better be a jazz musician.
Okay, thank you for that, and good luck to you. We're going to take another call from home. You're in touch with Miles Davis.
Good morning. I was calling to find out why Mr. Davis is constantly referring to black and white music and black and white people. And also, my younger sister would like to know, did Morris Day of the Time design his outfit? Thank you.
Did who?
Morris Day of the
I think that was a tongue-in-cheek comment, but the first part may be more pertinent.
Why do I do that?
Yes.
Because when I was going to Juilliard, I had to make a decision whether to play, if I wanted to play classical music or the music I chose to play. But when you play classical music, if you have to play it because you love it. So you have to go from learning. You have to play piano. You have to play all the instruments. But I still think that when a lot of black musicians give a white man too much credit when they say they want to be classical musicians, for not to please themselves, but for a white person or a critic to look at them and say, oh, he's really good, he can play what we write. Anybody can do that.
But isn't that a reality?
What do you mean?
Many times you're made or broken by what those critics have to say about you, and that is the reality.
No.
It is not?
No.
Is there a plateau that you either have reached or hope to reach with your music, or is it something that's just going to continue to expand and grow from your mind?
I have, they want me to record with the Berlin Philharmonic. and we're going to write some music for him. And we're going to change the structure of a symphony philharmonic orchestra. We'll probably have speakers. We have scratching. I mean, it's going to be different than the regular form of symphony classical music. You know.
Miles Davis, thank you for coming here on City Line today. It has been indeed a pleasure to meet you.
It's my pleasure.
And to learn from you, by the way.
What is it?
Thank you so much, and break a leg tonight.
All right, can I leave?
Yeah, well, yes. We'll take a break and come back with T. Montier in the newscast.
Good afternoon. Topping today's newscap, the problems of Provident Hospital haven't gotten any better since we talked about them last week. 44 of 257 physicians on staff at the hospital are still boycotting the institution. The board has yet to take any decisive action. Joining me now to discuss the controversy is Delegate Larry Young. He is a member of the governor's task force on cost containment. Delegate Young, thank you for joining us today. That task force will be issuing a report soon, I understand, and is Provident mentioned in that report, and what is the nature of that report?
No, Provident is not mentioned, nor will any hospital and a particular healthcare facility be mentioned. The task force should have its report before the governor on December the 7th. That report will have about 25 recommendations, mainly talking about the regulatory process, talking about utilization, talking about health insurance, and 2 or 3 other matters. The highlight of the report will deal with excess bed capacity, and regretfully, I would also say that we'll be dealing with the potential issue of merger, closures, and consolidations of particular hospitals.
Well, how much validity do you attach to the suspicion of, say, Congressman Perrin J. Mitchell and others who have said that there is a plan afoot to force the merger of Provident Hospital or to remove it as a black-controlled and operated institution?
I think that Chairman Elijah Cummings of the caucus stated very clearly that the caucus will not accept, be a part of, or support in any way any consolidation, merger, or any particular action that would cause us to lose Provident Hospital as the most prominent employment organization that we have in the state, as well as the fact that we know we need to keep and maintain Provident as a black healthcare institution, and we will do this.
One of your fellow delegates in Annapolis will be introducing legislation, I understand, in the 85 session that deals with the specific issue of boycotting hospitals by physicians. What is that legislation about?
I was able to just to get a quick review of this. It basically says that a physician in the state of Maryland who's licensed by the state board who boycotts will be fined a maximum of $5,000 if they were to boycott a particular hospital.
Delegate Larry Young, thank you very much. In other news, Haitian refugees have accused the U.S. of flagrant discrimination in excluding them from a program that is expected to grant permanent residency status to 100,000 Cuban refugees. The Reverend Gerard Jean-Just, Executive Director of the Haitian Refugee Center, says he is happy for the Cubans, but the government's failure to take action for Haitian refugees represents flagrant discrimination. Los Angeles Mayor Tom Bradley has announced he will seek a 4th term as mayor of the nation's largest city. Bradley has vowed to clean up toxic dumps, help the homeless, and make the city a sparkling cultural center. Congressman Mickey Leland, chairman of the House Select Committee on Hunger, led a delegation of Congress members this weekend on a tour of drought-stricken Ethiopia to observe relief efforts and prepare a report to Congress on the famine. Among the Congress members joining Leland on the tour are Representatives William Gray of Pennsylvania and Adolphus Towns of New York.
300 miles south of Addis Ababa.
Remember Curtis Sharp, the New Jersey gentleman who won the $5 million lottery not too long ago? Well, Sharp is in the news again today, this time for a generous donation. Sharp says he will donate $15,000 in goods to help famine-stricken Ethiopia and deliver them personally, along with 5 of his trademark derby hats and his favorite white suit. And finally, Georgette Kaiser, an energetic senior at Pikesville Senior High School, is City Line Student of the Week. Georgette is enrolled in the Gifted and Talented program at Pikesville and has attended the Maryland Center for the Gifted and Talented. She enjoys running 2 hours each day, is captain of the cross-country team, and president of the Young Adult Ushers. Georgette would like to continue her education at either the United States Military Academy or the Air Force and pursue a career in computer science. Congratulations and best wishes to Georgette Kaiser, City Line Student of the Week. And that is today's Newscap. I'm T. Montier. More of City Line up next. Have a good day.
Harold Anthony here, and today on the entertainment page, my featured artist is one of the greatest jazz vocalists of all time. However, you will not be seeing him perform his traditional scat-type vocal style. That's because Al Jarreau, much to the approval of pop fans everywhere, has tossed his hat into the pop music arena. Even though this seems to be quite a cavalier move for the 43-year-old jazz bass artist, research into his background reveals that this decision is actually overdue. You see, as a youngster growing up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the young Jarreau closely studied the style of his idols, Nat King Cole and Johnny Mathis. And as a young vocalist, he often imitated the two artists who, by today's standards, would fit snugly into the pop category. Not long into his amateur career, Jarreau realized that he had mastered a type of jazz vocalizing called scatting. For those of you who don't know what scatting is, it is simply defined as wordless vocalizing in an attempt to substitute for lyrics or musical notes in a song. Jarreau's amazing technical skill, combined with his voice range and tone, quickly shot him to the pinnacle of his craft, where he was to remain for years. Being one of the most sought-after jazz vocalists, he could have easily ridden the wave of his success for years to come. But in 1981, he shocked the entire music community when he broke out of the jazz mold with his first pop album, appropriately called Breaking Away. Since then, Al Jarreau is well on his way to a second heavyweight title, only this time it's in the pop arena. From his latest LP called High Crime, here's Al Jarreau with After All. Smoothest artistic transitions ever seen, that was Al Jarreau with his latest hit called After All. Speaking of artistic transitions, you can all be on the lookout for the first serious attempt of rock singing by the clown prince of comedy, Eddie Murphy. Rick James and Eddie recently got together and took on a multimedia collaboration called Party All the Time, in which he unleashes the singing potential that we witnessed during his Delirious tour. However, this is not Eddie's first attempt at a singing career. 2 years ago, he took a lighthearted stab at the industry with a hilarious rap record called Boogie in Your Butt, which was banned from the airwaves of many radio stations because of its controversial lyrics. When he was asked to comment on the seriousness of his latest endeavor, Eddie said, "If it's a big hit, I'll be a rock star. If it ain't, I'll just play it off and act like it was all a joke." Typical Eddie Murphy. And on that note, I'll have to close today's edition of the entertainment page. I'm Harold Anthony, and I'll see you next Sunday.
Thank you, Harold. I love Al Jarreau, one of my favorites.
Woo! Yes, he's my most favorite.
Most favorite?
Yes.
Most favorite. That's what she said. Great. Another great musician was with us today, Mr. Miles Davis, and I think it was a very unique experience.
I think it was quite an experience. Yes. I'll never forget that experience. It was, you know, it was unusual because, first of all, he does not grant that many interviews, and he certainly doesn't do local talk shows, nor does he do talk shows in general. So that in itself was unique. And then to be here to ask him questions that he wouldn't answer was also unique.
And he's a very private man, and I learned a lot about his music, talking to him and getting a better idea of where he was coming from. And he's not as misdirected, I think, as I thought he was before.
As we misunderstood. And I think what it is, too, is that in a way we gain a greater appreciation for a grand talent. He's a genius.
Definitely. I like
He's
to
a
get my hand
genius.
on
And
some
we
of
need to
his-
respect that.
Yeah. I'd like to get my hands on some of his paintings, but
Oh, I thought you were going to say something else. Okay, what about next week?
Next week, we have a very interesting topic. Tell me, do you think that money plays an important role in your relationship We're going to be talking about love and money next week.
Indeed, and do money problems create other kinds of problems in those love relationships? I contend, well, we won't worry about that. Call us now if you'd like to be a member of our studio audience. Call us at 481-1313 if you want to be here to talk about love and money.
Well, that's our show for today, and thank you very much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. I'm V.T. Bentley.
And I'm Jackie Hall. Have a good Sunday.
Bye-bye.
Worried 1313 if you want to be here to talk about love and money.
Well, that's our show for today, and thank you very much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. I'm V.T. Bentley.
And I'm Jackie Hall. Have a good Sunday.
Bye-bye.